Before we begin our long, slow journey into the heart of the ice, take a moment to settle into your blankets. Allow yourself to find that perfect, nestled position, feeling the weight of your body as it meets the mattress, sinking down into the softness, melting into the layers beneath you. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, becoming heavy and released, as you take a slow, deep breath in, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, and as you exhale, imagine a wave of relaxation flowing from the top of your head, down through your neck, down through your arms, and all the way to your toes. It feels quite peaceful, doesn't it? You might find yourself drifting even deeper into the stillness of your room. The walls seem to soften, and the distant sounds of the world outside begin to hum like a faint, rhythmic lullaby. Slowly, the edges of your room fade into a hazy, soft glow. You are no longer in your bed, yet you remain just as safe, just as warm. You are standing at the very edge of the world, where the Antarctic plateau meets the sky. The air is crisp and clean, smelling of frozen water and ancient, silent stone. You are wrapped in a cocoon of quiet, watching as the vast, white landscape opens up before you. The penguin stands at the very edge of the great colony, a solitary silhouette carved from shadow and light, positioned against a horizon that seems to stretch into an infinite, pearly eternity. Behind him, the collective rhythm of thousands of other penguins continues its frantic, noisy dance, a chaotic symphony of calling, splashing, and the endless, restless movement of the many. But for this one penguin, the rhythm has changed. He is no longer pulled by the gravity of the group. He turns his body with a slow, deliberate grace, his feet making a quiet, shifting sound on the packed, frozen snow, as he pivots his gaze away from the sea and toward the vast interior of the continent. He is looking toward the mountains that rise like pale lavender shadows in the distance, peaks that have never known the sound of a voice or the frantic energy of a crowd. There is no suddenness in this decision, no moment of jarring conflict. It is a gradual unfolding of purpose, a quiet realization that the path of the many is no longer the path of the soul. He is choosing the high air, the solitude that Nietzsche once spoke of, where the wind is clean and the mind can finally hear its own rhythmic heartbeat. You observe the subtle shift in his posture as he begins to move. His body leans forward, finding a new center of gravity that belongs only to him. The noise of the colony begins to recede, turning into a hazy, indistinct hum that sounds like the distant washing of waves on a shore you have long since left behind. It is a fading sound, a memory of noise that is slowly being replaced by a profound, heavy silence. The air around him is becoming still, carrying only the faint, clean scent of old ice and frozen minerals. You can imagine the feeling of that stillness, can't you? It is like a soft, invisible blanket being laid over the world. He takes his first step away from the edge, his foot lifting with a mechanical precision, his claws catching the light before descending back into the white powder. Crunch. The sound is singular and crisp, a solitary note in a world of silence. This is the beginning of the opus of tedium, a long, slow walk where every step is its own universe. He is not running toward a goal, he is simply inhabiting the act of walking. Every meter he gains is a release, a drifting away from the shore of the common world into the deep, quiet ocean of the self. The landscape is opening up for him, a vast, white canvas where time has no meaning and the only clock is the slow, circular rotation of the pale sun. You follow him in your mind, your own breath beginning to sync with his steady, swaying gait, as the world of the colony disappears into the white mist behind you. As the penguin moves further into the white void, the light of the low sun begins to reveal the incredible, minute details of his plumage. You find your attention drawn to the texture of his feathers, those thousands of tiny, waterproof tiles that shield him from the elements. They are not merely black, they are a deep, saturated charcoal, a color so dense it seems to absorb the silence around it. Where the light hits the curve of his shoulder, the black turns to a shimmering silver, a matte glow that looks like polished stone. You might find yourself imagining the smoothness of those feathers, the oily, resilient surface that feels both cool and warm at the same time. Every feather is perfectly aligned, overlapping in a geometric pattern that is as complex as a masterwork of lace. You observe the way the feathers shift ever so slightly as he moves, a subtle rustle that is almost too quiet to hear, like the sound of silk sliding over silk. He pauses for a moment, not because he is tired, but to perform a routine task of preening. He turns his head with a slow, fluid motion, using his beak to realign a single, stray feather near the base of his wing. It is a process of extreme detail and low-stakes focus. You watch as his beak moves with surgical precision, smoothing the barbules, tucking the feather back into its perfect place. There is a deep, rhythmic satisfaction in watching this mundane routine. It is a task that requires nothing but presence, a small, quiet victory over the clutter of the natural world. The air remains perfectly still as he works, the only movement being the rise and fall of his chest. His white belly feathers are as soft as new fallen snow, glowing with a pearly light that seems to radiate from within. You find your mind focusing on the boundary between the black and the white, a clean, sharp line that represents the balance of his world. There is no chaos here, only the orderly arrangement of the self. As you watch him, you feel your own mind becoming just as orderly, just as smoothed over. The distractions of the day are being tucked away, one by one, like the feathers on his wing. You are nestling into the safety of this observation, drifting deeper into the hazy comfort of the penguin's quiet world. Every tiny detail is a reminder that you are safe, that you are warm, and that there is plenty of time to simply be. The penguin finishes his preening and settles his wings back against his sides, a soft, final sound of completion that signals the continuation of the walk. The penguin resumes his journey, and now you focus entirely on the mechanics of his walk. It is a hypnotic, repetitive motion, a side-to-side rocking that carries him forward across the frozen plateau. Left, and right, and left, and right. Every step is a masterpiece of economy. He lifts his left foot, the claws creating a tiny, rhythmic tink as they leave the ice, and his entire body sways to the right in a slow, graceful arc. Then, the weight shifts back, the right foot lifts, and the arc completes itself. It is the movement of a pendulum, a steady, unceasing beat that measures the passing of the silence. You find your own awareness beginning to rock in time with him, a mental swaying that reminds you of a cradle being pushed by a gentle, invisible hand. There is a wonderful predictability to this gait. You know exactly when the next step will fall, and that knowledge provides a deep sense of security. You observe the way his head remains perfectly level, his gaze fixed on the lavender horizon, even as his body swings beneath it. It is a study in stillness within motion. The muscles in his legs move with a slow, hidden power, a rhythmic tensing and releasing that is as regular as a heartbeat. You might notice the way the light catches his white chest as he sways, a flash of silver, then shadow, then silver, then shadow. It is a visual pulse, a flickering of light that helps to pull your consciousness further away from the waking world. The snow beneath his feet is becoming firmer now, turning from powder into a hard-packed crust that rings with a hollow, resonant sound. Thud, thud, thud. The sound is grounding and heavy, echoing the weight of your own limbs as they settle into your bed. You feel your arms becoming heavy, your legs becoming heavy, your head becoming heavy. You are drifting within the pendulum of the penguin's walk, being carried forward into the heart of the ice by a rhythm that never falters. There is no need to hurry, no need to reach a destination. The walk itself is the purpose. Every step is a release of a thought. Every sway is a softening of a worry. You are becoming part of the mechanical grace of the journey, drifting into a hazy, comfortable trance where the only thing that exists is the next, slow, steady step. As the penguin moves, he leaves behind a long, straight line of footprints, a visual history of his solitude. You find yourself looking down at these marks in the snow, noticing the incredible geometry of each one. Every footprint is a shallow, three-toed bowl, pressed into the white surface with a singular, heavy intent. You observe the way the sunlight pools in these small indentations, creating tiny, violet shadows that contrast with the brilliant white of the surrounding plateau. The edges of the footprints are sharp and clean, the snow having been compressed into a temporary glass. You follow the line of the prints back toward the horizon, watching as they disappear into the hazy distance. It is a satisfying, linear progression, a trail that leads away from the world of noise and into the world of rest. The penguin encounters a patch of sastrugi, ridges of ice that have been sculpted by the wind into the shapes of frozen waves. He navigates these with a slow, meticulous focus. You watch as he chooses his path, his foot lifting higher to clear a ridge, then descending with a soft, muffled sound into a pocket of soft snow. Whoosh! A tiny cloud of ice crystals rises around his ankle, swirling for a moment like a miniature galaxy before settling back onto the ground. You follow the movement of one specific crystal, watching it drift, and tumble, and land. The complexity of this small event is enough to fill your mind, leaving no room for the stresses of the day. The sastrugi are a beautiful, ivory obstacle, a landscape of frozen curves and sharp, crystalline edges. The penguin moves over them with a quiet, persistent energy, his claws finding grip in the ancient ice. The sound of the ice changes as he moves, sometimes a crunch, sometimes a hollow thud, sometimes a musical tink. These sounds form a low-stakes symphony, a rhythmic accompaniment to the silence. You feel a deep sense of peace as you watch this mundane navigation. It is a journey of inches, a slow-motion exploration of a world made of nothing but water and wind. Your mind is becoming as smooth and as cold as the ice, your thoughts slowing down until they are nothing more than the tiny, swirling crystals of the snow. You are safe, you are warm, and you are drifting ever deeper into the architecture of the white silence. The penguin stops to stand in the center of a wide, flat plain of ice, his body becoming a still point in a moving world. In this absolute stillness, the only sound is the rhythm of his own breathing. You lean in closer, noticing the way his chest expands and contracts with a slow, mechanical regularity. It is a deep, effortless breath, a cycle of life that requires no thought and no struggle. You watch the tiny, white plumes of mist as they escape his beak with every exhale. They curl into the air, twisting in slow motion, before vanishing into the vast, cold atmosphere. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. You find your own breathing beginning to match his pace, your chest rising and falling in perfect sync with the solitary bird. The air here is so pure, so thin, that every breath feels like a cool, silver liquid flowing into your lungs. It is a refreshing sensation, a cleansing of the inner world. You might notice the faint, crystalline sound of the penguin's breath as it moves through his nostrils, a soft, whistling hum that is as delicate as the wind in the grass. The penguin's eyes are partially closed, his dark lashes dusted with a fine layer of frost. He is not asleep, yet he is not fully awake, he is in a state of deep, meditative presence. You feel yourself entering that same state, the boundaries of your room blurring into the white mist of the plateau. The mist around the penguin's beak is like a tiny, transient cloud, a reminder of the warmth that exists within the cold. You find yourself mesmerized by the regularity of the cycle, the way each breath follows the last with a perfect, unwavering rhythm. It is a safe, predictable loop that protects you from the unpredictability of the world. The silence around you is becoming heavier, more velvet-like, wrapping itself around your senses and pulling you down into a deeper state of relaxation. You are no longer thinking about the journey, you are the journey. You are the breath. You are the mist. You are the slow, rhythmic pulse of life in the heart of the ice. Everything is quiet. Everything is still. You are drifting away, carried by the steady, humming breath of the solitary penguin. As the penguin looks toward the distant mountains, the sky begins to transition into a deep, royal lavender. The sun is now a hidden glow beneath the curve of the earth, casting long, horizontal rays of light that catch the very tips of the peaks. They look like glowing embers in a dying fire, a soft, orange warmth that contrasts with the cool blue of the shadows. This is the high air of the spirit, a place where the air is too thin for the noise of the world to survive. The penguin understands this solitude, not as a loss, but as a profound homecoming. He is moving toward the heart of his own existence, leaving behind the herd and its frantic, collective demands. He is a sovereign being in a kingdom of ice. You feel that same sense of sovereignty as you lie in your bed, your own kingdom of soft blankets and quiet shadows. The horizon is a hazy, blurred line that represents the end of the known world and the beginning of the dream. The penguin takes a step forward, and the movement feels heavier now, more grounded. He is walking into the shadow of the first great peak, a world of deep indigo and soft, silver frost. The colors are bleeding into one another, the lavender into the blue into the black. It is a liquid transition, a slow fading of the day that mirrors the fading of your own consciousness. You watch the way the light catches the white of the penguin's chest one last time before he enters the deep shadow. It is a final, glowing reminder of the safety of the path. The air is getting colder, but you feel only the warmth of your nest, the cozy sanctuary you have built for yourself. The penguin silhouette is a steady, comforting anchor in the darkening world. He is leading you toward the second hour, toward the deeper geometry of the ice, where the stars will begin their slow, rhythmic dance. Your mind is a vast, empty space, waiting for the first star to appear. Every thought is drifting away like a snowflake in a gentle wind. You are safe. You are warm. You are almost there. The first hour is ending, and the great silence is waiting to receive you. The penguin moves across a shelf of ice that is no longer covered by the soft powder of the lower plains, but is instead an exposed expanse of ancient, glacial blue. You find your gaze drifting down to the surface beneath his feet, observing a world that is not solid, but translucent, a frozen ocean of light that stretches down for hundreds of feet into the heart of the earth. The color is a deep, electric turquoise, a hue so saturated and pure that it feels as though it has a weight of its own. You observe the way the penguin's dark claws interact with this glass-like surface, creating tiny, white stars of pressure where they meet the ice. Within the blue depths, you notice the presence of thousands of tiny, silver air bubbles, trapped in this frozen state for 10,000 years. They are perfectly spherical, perfectly still, suspended in time like pearls in a sea of sapphire. You follow the line of a single, jagged fissure that wanders through the ice, a hairline crack that glows with an even more intense light. It branches off into microscopic veins, a complex and beautiful geometry of cold that reminds you of the patterns of a leaf or the map of a distant river system. There is no hurry to look away. You allow your mind to trace these blue paths, moving slowly from one bubble to the next, drifting through the frozen layers of history. The ice is so clear that you can see the penguin's reflection mirrored in the surface, a soft, blurred version of himself moving through the stars. It is a peaceful, repetitive sight, the dark foot, the blue ice, the silver bubble. You feel a heavy, liquid sensation in your own limbs, as if you are being submerged in this warm, weightless sea of indigo light. Your thoughts are becoming as clear and as still as the turquoise depths, every worry being frozen in place, held safely away from the surface of your awareness. The penguin takes another step, and the clink of his claws against the glass is a musical reminder that everything is solid, everything is steady, and you are perfectly safe in this world of sapphire and silk. The air on the high plateau has become so thin and so still that sound travels with a clarity that is almost magical. You find yourself focusing on the acoustic environment of the penguin's journey, a symphony of minimalist notes that lulls the mind into a state of deep focus. On this hard, glacial ice, the sound of his walk has shifted from a muffled crunch to a clear, resonant tink. Tink, tink, tink. It is the sound of a silver mallet hitting a crystal bell, a bright, singular note that hangs in the air for a fraction of a second before being swallowed by the vast silence. You wait for each sound, your mind hanging on the rhythm, finding a deep sense of security in its predictability. There is no variation in the beat, it is the steady, unceasing pulse of a journey that knows no rush. As the penguin walks, you also hear the faint, microscopic cracking of the ice as it settles under his weight, a soft snap or a distant pop that sounds like the gentle crackling of a log in a fireplace. It is a grounding sound, a reminder of the immense density of the world beneath him. And then there is the sound of his breathing, a soft, rhythmic hiss as the cold air enters his lungs and a warm sigh as it leaves. Inhale and exhale. These sounds are layered over the low, constant hum of the distant wind, a frequency so deep and so steady that it becomes a part of the silence itself. You find your own heart rate slowing to match these acoustic cycles, your body becoming a vessel for the rhythm. You feel the vibration of the tink in your own feet, the resonance of the sigh in your own chest. The world of noise has been replaced by a world of pure frequency, a landscape of sound where every note is a caress and every silence is a blanket. You are drifting within this symphony of the mundane, your mind becoming a quiet auditorium where the only music is the steady, rhythmic walk of the solitary penguin. The penguin reaches a point where the wind has dropped to a total standstill, leaving the atmosphere as motionless as a frozen lake. He stops to stand in this absolute vacuum, and you notice the way the moisture in the air begins to crystallize around him. Thousands of tiny, microscopic frost crystals begin to form on the tips of his feathers, turning his charcoal-colored back into a shimmering landscape of silver. You observe this process in extreme slow motion, watching as the invisible water molecules find their place in the geometric structure of the ice. Each crystal is a perfect, six-sided star, a masterpiece of order and symmetry. There is an incredible, tedious beauty in the way they grow, one facet at a time, until the penguin is covered in a glowing armor of light. This is the clean air that Nietzsche spoke of, the air that is too pure for the noise and heat of the valley to survive. The penguin is breathing this air, and as he does, his movements become even more deliberate and calm. He is no longer just a bird, he is a part of the crystalline structure of the night. You find yourself focusing on the tip of a single feather, watching a crystal as it catches the light of a distant star. The light breaks into a tiny rainbow of violet, gold, and emerald, a private light show created by the laws of physics and the silence of the plateau. You are mesmerized by the stillness of the penguin, by the way he allows the world to build itself around him. He has no need to act, he only has a need to be. This realization brings a profound sense of relief to your own mind. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to plan. You only have to be. Like the penguin, you are a part of the crystal, a part of the light, a part of the slow and beautiful growth of the night. You feel your own thoughts becoming as orderly and as quiet as the frost, drifting into a state of absolute, crystalline rest. The penguin continues his climb, and as he gains altitude, the horizon begins to blur and soften. The boundary between the white earth and the dark sky is no longer a sharp line, but a long, liquid gradient of indigo, charcoal, and deep violet. It looks like a painting made of smoke and velvet, a world where edges have ceased to exist. You watch the penguin move toward this hazy boundary, his silhouette becoming softer and less distinct as he enters the deepening twilight. The mountains ahead are now nothing more than darker shapes against a dark sky, their peaks glowing with a faint, ghostly luminescence. It is a world of shadows, but they are not frightening shadows, they are the shadows of a safe and quiet home. You observe the way the penguin's body seems to merge with the landscape. His black feathers belong to the night, his white chest belongs to the ice. He is a bridge between the earth and the sky. You find your own vision beginning to soften as you watch him, the details of your room blurring into the indigo mist of the plateau. The sense of distance is becoming meaningless. Whether he has walked a mile or 10 miles doesn't matter, the only thing that matters is the steady, rhythmic progression of the walk. Every step takes him deeper into the blur, further away from the sharp edges of the waking world. You feel a heavy, pleasant sense of vertigo, the feeling of drifting in a vast, dark, and comfortable space. The horizon is an invitation to let go, to stop trying to see clearly and to simply allow the darkness to wash over you. The penguin is leading you toward the heart of the mist, toward the place where the self dissolves into the color and the silence. You are sinking into the indigo, your mind becoming a hazy reflection of the distant stars, safe and warm in the cradle of the night. Though the air around the penguin is incredibly cold, he exists within a thermal cocoon of his own making. You find your attention drawn to the warmth that must exist beneath those layers of feathers, a steady, internal glow that keeps his heart beating and his muscles moving. You imagine this warmth as a soft, golden light at the center of his being, a light that is perfectly protected from the wind and the frost. It is a comforting thought, a sensory anchor that reminds you of the warmth of your own bed. You feel that same internal glow within yourself, a steady heat that radiates from your chest and spreads through your heavy limbs. Your blankets are like the penguin's feathers, a waterproof and cold-proof shield that creates a sanctuary of pure comfort. You observe the way the penguin occasionally tucks his beak into the feathers of his shoulder, a brief movement to conserve his warmth. It is a cozy, nesting gesture that lulls you even deeper into relaxation. The contrast between the cold, blue world outside and the warm, golden world inside is a source of profound security. You are the warmth, the world is the cold. And as long as you are tucked away in your cocoon, the cold can never reach you. The penguin's breath continues its slow, rhythmic cycle, each exhale a tiny release of that internal heat into the frozen air. Ho! A soft, white plume that disappears in an instant. You find yourself sinking deeper into your pillow, your body becoming as relaxed as the penguin's, your mind becoming as quiet as the air within his feathers. You are safe, you are warm, and you are drifting toward a state of perfect, thermal rest, where the only thing that exists is the steady, glowing pulse of life in the heart of the ice. The penguin has finally reached the base of the first great peak, a massive wall of ancient granite that rises into the stars like a silent monument. The stone is dark and weathered, its surface covered in a fine lace of white frost. The penguin stops and looks up at the immense scale of the mountain. He is a small figure, yet he does not feel diminished. He feels connected to the stone's eternal stillness. You watch him as he leans his body against a smooth section of the rock, feeling the solid, unmoving presence of the earth behind him. The granite is cold, but it is a stable and reliable cold, a weight that has stood for millions of years. This is the end of the second hour, the threshold between the journey across the plateau and the final ascent into the clouds. The air here is perfectly quiet, the wind having been blocked by the massive shoulder of the mountain. The silence is so heavy it feels like a physical weight, pressing down on your senses and pulling you into a state of absolute, unmoving rest. The penguin takes a deep, slow breath, and you feel the resonance of that breath in the stone behind him. Everything is still. Everything is heavy. Everything is prepared for the final stage of the journey. You feel your own mind settling into the granite, your thoughts becoming as solid and as quiet as the mountain itself. The penguin is ready to begin his final, rhythmic climb, and you are ready to follow him into the highest air of all, where the stars are the only light and the silence is the only sound. Let your eyes close. Let your body sink. We are at the threshold of the deep, eternal sleep. The penguin stands at the base of the great granite peak, his small frame leaning gently against the ancient, unyielding stone. This is not just a rock, it is a monument to time itself, a massive slab of the Earth's crust that has remained unchanged for millions of years. You find your attention drawn to the surface of the granite, directly where the penguin's shoulder touches the rock. At this distance, the stone is not a flat gray. It is a complex mosaic of minerals, flecked with silver mica, clouded with milky quartz, and grounded by deep, charcoal-colored grains of feldspar. Each tiny mineral reflects the starlight in its own unique way, creating a subtle, shimmering map of light across the face of the mountain. You observe the way a thin, delicate lace of frost has begun to grow across the granite's texture. The frost does not cover the stone completely. It highlights the tiny cracks and microscopic ridges, tracing the history of every wind and storm that has ever passed this way. The penguin remains perfectly still, his body absorbing the solidness of the mountain. You feel that same solidness in your own body, the way your weight is supported by the mattress, as steady and reliable as the granite wall. Your back feels broad and grounded. Your shoulders feel heavy and released. You are leaning into the mountain of your own rest, letting go of the need to hold yourself up. The penguin's breathing is slow and shallow, a rhythmic pulse that echoes against the stone. You find yourself tracing the edge of a single quartz vein in your mind, following its slow, jagged path upward, inch by inch, until the detail becomes so fine that your thoughts simply dissolve into the texture. There is no rush to climb. In the absolute silence of the mountain's shadow, the penguin begins to perceive a sound that is not a sound at all, but a vibration. It is the low-frequency hum of the earth, the deep, resonant heartbeat of the Antarctic continent. You listen with him, allowing your awareness to drop beneath the surface of the ice and into the core of the planet. It is a steady, rhythmic thrum, a vibration that is so slow and so deep that it settles the nervous system like a heavy blanket. You feel this vibration in the soles of the penguin's feet, traveling up through his legs and into his steady, warm heart. It is a grounding energy, a reminder that he is not a stranger in this land, but a part of its very architecture. You find your own body sinking into this frequency. Your heart begins to beat in time with the mountain, slow, powerful, and calm. The hum of the earth acts as a white noise for your mind, a constant, unchanging sound that masks the lingering echoes of your day. You imagine this hum as a deep, golden light, vibrating at the center of your chest, radiating warmth and safety through your heavy limbs. The penguin closes his eyes for a long, quiet moment, leaning his head back against the stone. He is not sleeping yet, but he is entering the gateway to sleep. He is drifting within the vibration, a tiny spark of life floating on a sea of ancient, rhythmic energy. Every breath he takes is a part of this hum. Every blink of his eyes is a part of the mountain's time. You are drifting with him, your mind becoming as vast and as quiet as the stone, safe in the knowledge that the earth is holding you, protecting you, and breathing with you. The silence is not empty, it is full of this deep, golden resonance. Near the penguin's feet, trapped within a layer of clear ice that has formed at the base of the rock, is a single, large air bubble. It is perfectly spherical, a marble of ancient atmosphere that has been held in place for 10,000 years. You find yourself mesmerized by this tiny, captive world. The bubble is silver and translucent, catching the indigo light of the sky and bending it into a swirling, liquid pattern across its surface. You observe the way the penguin looks down at the bubble, his dark eye reflecting its silver glow. Inside that bubble is air that was breathed before cities were built, before the noise of the world began. It is a pure, silent pocket of history. You imagine what it would be like to be inside that bubble, perfectly protected, perfectly still, perfectly quiet. There is no wind there. There is no time. You find your consciousness shrinking down until you are drifting inside that silver sphere, floating in a weightless, airless void of peace. The walls of the bubble are thick and strong, a shield of crystal that keeps out the cold and the chaos. You are safe there. You are warm. You are suspended in a dream of eternal stillness. The penguin takes a slow step, his foot passing over the bubble, and for a second, the light shifts, creating a flash of brilliant turquoise within the silver. It is a small, quiet event, a low-stakes miracle of physics. You watch as the light fades back into indigo, the bubble returning to its silent, silver vigil. Your mind is becoming as round and as smooth as that bubble, your thoughts being held in a state of perfect, suspended animation. There is nothing to do but float. There is nothing to do but rest. The penguin begins to move again, navigating the narrow ledge at the base of the granite peak. Because the ground is uneven, his gait changes, becoming a deeper, more pronounced sway. You observe the way he balances himself, his small wings extending just a fraction of an inch from his sides to act as stabilizers. It is a beautiful, rhythmic movement, a tilting of the entire world to the left, then a tilting of the world to the right. Every step is a careful negotiation between the bird and the mountain. He places his foot on a small, flat protrusion of rock, testing its stability before committing his weight. You watch the way his muscles tense and then immediately release, a cycle of effort and rest that happens with every single step. There is no wasted energy. He is a master of the slow, deliberate climb. You find your own body following this rhythm, a mental swaying that pulls at your senses. You are rocking with him, left and right, left and right. It feels like being on a very slow, very large ship, moving across a calm, dark ocean. The rhythm is so steady and so predictable that it begins to lull your mind into a hazy, comfortable trance. You might notice the way the penguin's tuxedo black feathers catch the light as he tilts, a flash of matte shadow followed by the glow of the silver frost. It is a visual pendulum, a ticking clock of light and shadow that measures the passing of the stillness. You are drifting within the sway, your thoughts becoming as rhythmic and as mechanical as his walk. Every step is a release. Every tilt is a deepening of the piece. You are moving toward the high valley, and the rhythm is the only thing that remains. The sky above the granite peak has now reached a state of deep, saturated charcoal. There are no clouds, only the vast, crystalline depth of the atmosphere. You watch the way the colors on the horizon continue to fade, a slow transition from indigo to plum, and then finally to the absolute, velvety black of the high night. This is not a dark black, but a glowing black, filled with the presence of a billion distant suns. The penguin stops to look at the sky, his silhouette a sharp, clean line against the cosmic expanse. He is standing on the edge of the world, looking into the heart of the galaxy. Nietzsche once wrote of the eternal return, the idea that every moment is a circle that never ends. Looking at the sky with the penguin, you feel the truth of this. The stars have been in these positions for eons, and they will remain there for eons more. Their light is a constant, a steady, unblinking promise of permanence. You find yourself focusing on a single, faint star just above the mountain's crest. You watch it shimmer, a tiny, silver pulse, green, then violet, then white. It is a rhythmic flickering that syncs with your own breathing. Inhale, and the star glows. Exhale, and the star fades. You are part of the sky now. Your mind is as vast and as quiet as the space between the stars. The penguin takes a deep, cold breath, and you feel the coolness of the starlight in your own chest. You are floating in the charcoal sky, safe and warm in your nest, while the universe continues its slow, majestic rotation. Everything is orderly. Everything is peaceful. The night is a vast, open room where you are finally free to let go. The penguin reaches the end of the granite wall and finds himself at the entrance of a narrow, hidden valley. This is the Crystal Valley, a place where the wind is completely forbidden and the snow has turned into a forest of ice sculptures. As he enters, the temperature seems to drop even further, but it is a dry, comfortable cold that makes the air feel as thick as honey. You watch as he takes his first step into the valley, his feet sinking into a layer of frost that is as soft as swan's down. The sound is gone. There is no crunch here, only a silent, fluffy acceptance of his presence. The valley is filled with ice flowers, frozen structures that have grown from the moisture in the air into delicate, jagged blooms. They cover the floor of the valley like a carpet of silver lace. The penguin walks among them with incredible care, his body moving like a shadow through a hall of mirrors. You observe the way the starlight reflects off the millions of ice facets, creating a shimmering, flickering world of light. It is a place of absolute, unmoving beauty. This is the end of the third hour, the point where the journey becomes truly dreamlike. The penguin is nearing the center of the valley, and you are nearing the center of your own rest. The air is getting heavier. The light is getting softer. Everything is prepared for the great, deep quiet of the fourth hour. Let your body sink into the frost. Let your mind become a flower of ice. We are entering the valley of dreams. The penguin stands at the entrance of a hidden alcove within the valley, a space filled with ice flowers, sublime, crystalline structures that have grown from the vapor of the still air into delicate, jagged blooms of frost. You find your attention drawn to a single, magnificent flower near the penguin's feet. It is a masterpiece of geometry, with six-sided petals that are as thin as a dragonfly's wing, catching the starlight and breaking it into a spectrum of soft, cool colors. You observe the way the penguin pauses, his dark eye reflecting the intricate patterns of the ice. He does not touch the flowers, he simply exists among them, a solitary traveler in a garden of silver lace. The stillness here is absolute, a silence so profound that you can almost hear the microscopic sound of the crystals growing. It is a low-stakes, beautiful process, the steady addition of one molecule of water at a time, building a world of fragile perfection. You find your own mind following this process, your thoughts becoming as light and as symmetrical as the ice flowers. You are wandering through this garden with him, your breath a soft, rhythmic sigh that does not even disturb the frost. The air is thick and cool, like a liquid silk that fills your lungs and calms your nerves. You feel a heavy, pleasant sense of being rooted in this garden, your body sinking into the soft, powdered snow beneath the flowers. It is a place of infinite patience. There is no need to pick the flowers, no need to move on. There is only the pleasure of the observation, the quiet satisfaction of seeing something so perfect and so fleeting. You are drifting within the silver petals, your consciousness becoming as clear and as cold as the ice, safe in the sanctuary of the Crystal Valley. As the penguin takes a slow, cautious step deeper into the valley, his foot disturbs a layer of fine, crystalline snow dust that has settled over the ice. This dust does not fall, it floats. Because the air is so cold and so still, the tiny ice grains remain suspended in the atmosphere, creating a shimmering, golden haze around the penguin's body. You watch as he moves through this cloud of light, his dark feathers acting as a backdrop for the thousands of tiny, glowing stars. It is a low-gravity world, a place where everything is weightless and slow. You observe the way a single grain of dust drifts upward, caught in the microscopic thermal currents of the penguin's body heat. It rises, it turns, it shimmers, and then it begins its long, slow descent back to the ground. Your mind follows that grain, moving in a slow, circular rhythm that mirrors the rotation of the galaxy. You feel that same weightlessness in your own limbs, as if you are floating in a warm, dark sea of stardust. Your bed is no longer a solid object, it is a cloud of soft fibers, supporting you with an effortless grace. The penguin's movements are muffled by the haze, his silhouette becoming a soft, glowing blur of charcoal and pearl. This is a world of soft edges and hazy light, a place where the harshness of reality has been filtered through a veil of ice and stars. You find yourself blinking in time with the flickering of the dust, your eyelids becoming heavier with every slow, deliberate movement. The haze is a blanket, a warm and shimmering cocoon that protects you from the world outside. You are drifting deeper into the glow, your thoughts becoming as light and as quiet as the floating snow dust, safe in the knowledge that you are part of the light. The penguin reaches the center of the valley, where a perfectly circular lake of black ice lies nestled between the peaks. The surface is as smooth as a polished mirror, reflecting the entire canopy of the southern sky with a clarity that is almost disorienting. The penguin walks out onto the ice, his claws making a soft, musical tink that echoes through the valley like a heartbeat. He stops at the very center of the lake and looks down. Beneath his feet, he sees the reflection of the Milky Way, a vast, swirling river of silver and violet that seems to descend into the very heart of the earth. He is standing on a window to the cosmos. You observe the way he stands perfectly still, his body a dark anchor in a sea of stars. You find your own gaze being pulled into the reflection, drifting through the deep, black ice into the infinite space below. It is a satisfying, vertical journey, a descent into a world of absolute peace. There is no bottom to this lake, there is only more light, more silence, more space. You feel a heavy, pleasant sense of vertigo, the feeling of being released from the gravity of the earth. You are no longer lying in a room, you are floating on the surface of a frozen universe. The penguin takes a slow, rhythmic breath, and the reflection of the stars ripples ever so slightly, creating a hypnotic pattern of light and shadow across the ice. You follow the ripples, watching them expand, watching them fade, watching them become still once more. Your mind is becoming as smooth and as dark as the black ice, your thoughts being held in a state of perfect, reflecting stillness. There is nothing to see but the stars. There is nothing to hear but the silence. There is nothing to do but drift. Beneath the surface of the Crystal Valley lies a network of ancient, ice-walled tunnels, and as the penguin stands on the lake, he begins to feel the micro-vibrations of the earth moving through these frozen veins. It is a low-frequency hum, a sound that is felt rather than heard, a grounding vibration that resonates in the bones. You listen with him, allowing your awareness to sink deep into the layers of the ice, down into the dark, silent chambers where the wind never reaches. The hum is steady and unchanging, a rhythmic that acts as a bass note for the entire world. It is the sound of the planet breathing, the slow, tectonic pulse of a continent at rest. You find your own body syncing with this vibration. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the deep ice, slow, powerful, and calm. You imagine this vibration as a thick, warm liquid, flowing through your heavy limbs and smoothing out the remaining tension in your muscles. The penguin closes his eyes, his head bowing slightly as he listens to the song of the earth. He is not moving, he is being moved by the vibration. You feel that same sense of being carried, of being supported by a force that is far greater than yourself. The hum is a shield, a wall of sound that protects you from the distractions of the mind. Within this vibration, there is no past and no future, there is only the now of the cold, the ice, and the deep, resonant heartbeat. You are drifting within the tunnels of the ice, your consciousness becoming as dark and as safe as the frozen chambers below, sinking deeper and deeper into the heavy, golden rhythm of the world. A thin, crescent moon has begun to rise over the jagged peaks of the valley, casting a pale, silver light across the snow. This light is different from the starlight. It is a soft, milky glow that turns the shadows into a deep, velvety charcoal. The penguin watches the moon rise, his silhouette glowing with a faint, iridescent sheen. You observe the way the moonlight catches the edges of the ice flowers, turning the garden into a landscape of frozen mercury. It is a transition of light that takes place over the course of hours, a slow and gradual unfolding of beauty. You find yourself focusing on the moon's reflection in the penguin's dark, polished eye. It is a tiny, silver sliver, a distant promise of light in the heart of the night. The moonlight feels like a cool, soothing balm for your eyes, smoothing out the harshness of the day and leaving only the soft, hazy glow of the dream world. You feel your eyelids becoming heavier with every passing second, the weight of the moon's light pressing down on your senses with a gentle, insistent grace. The penguin's breathing is a slow, steady plume of white mist, catching the silver light and glowing like a tiny cloud of stardust. You are drifting within this silver glow, your mind becoming as pale and as quiet as the moonlight, safe in the knowledge that the night is your sanctuary. Everything is being washed in silver. Every thought is being softened by the glow. You are almost there, drifting on the edge of the great, high plateau of sleep. The fourth hour is drawing to a close, and the penguin has reached the absolute center of the Crystal Valley. He stops to stand in a small, circular clearing, a place where the snow is perfectly flat and the air is perfectly still. This is the end of the journey through the crystal world, the threshold of the final ascent. He remains perfectly motionless, his body a solid, black and white pillar of peace. You observe the absolute stillness of his feathers, the way not even a single downy strand moves in the frozen air. He has become a statue of rest, a monument to the beauty of the mundane. You find yourself mimicking his stillness, your body becoming as unmoving and as heavy as the ice. The silence of the valley floor is a physical presence, a weight that pulls you down into the deep, dark layers of the mattress. You feel a sense of profound, heavy completion. The walking has served its purpose, the observation has cleared the mind. Now, there is only the stillness. The penguin takes one last, deep breath, a slow and rhythmic cycle that signals the end of this stage of the journey. Inhale and exhale. The sound is a whisper in the vast, white cathedral. You are drifting into the fifth hour, the hour of the great heights, where the air becomes light and the stars become the only reality. Your mind is a vast, empty valley, waiting for the first dream to arrive. You are safe. You are warm. You are still. The journey continues, but the rest has already begun. The penguin begins his ascent from the valley floor, his feet finding purchase on a slope covered in diamond dust, microscopic ice crystals that have fallen from a clear sky, unattached to clouds. This surface is not like the snow we know. It is a shimmering, granular sea of light that responds to every movement with a delicate, metallic shimmer. You find your focus narrowing to the point where the penguin's foot meets this crystalline dust. As he places his weight, the crystals shift and rearrange themselves, 1,000 tiny mirrors reflecting the indigo sky in a slow-motion cascade. You watch the way the dust settles back into place after he passes, the surface smoothing itself out as if he were never there. The effort of the climb is slow and rhythmic, a repetitive motion that requires the penguin to lean into the mountain at a precise angle. You observe the play of the soft, ambient light on his dark back, the way the silver frost on his feathers catches the glint of the rising stars. Every step is a deliberate, low-stakes choice. Left foot, pause, weight shift. Right foot, pause, weight shift. It is a hypnotic pattern that pulls at your consciousness, a visual and tactile rhythm that makes your own limbs feel heavy and settled. You are climbing with him in the theater of your mind, feeling the cool, dry air on your skin and the absolute solidity of the slope beneath you. The world below is a hazy memory of purple shadows, while the world above is a beckoning of infinite, dark peace. You find yourself drifting within the shimmer of the diamond dust, your thoughts becoming as small and as bright as the ice grains, safe in the steady, mechanical progression of the climb. As the penguin gains altitude, the sky begins to vibrate with the first faint traces of an atmospheric aurora. It is not a sudden flash of light, but a slow, rhythmic pulsing of deep emerald and ghostly violet. The light flows across the zenith like a river of liquid silk, casting a surreal, shimmering glow over the penguin's white chest. You watch the way the colors expand and contract, a slow, luminous breath of the cosmos. Green, fading into a pale, translucent lime, then deepening into a rich, velvety purple. The penguin stops to watch the sky, his silhouette a sharp, dark anchor in a world of moving light. You find your own breathing syncing with the pulse of the aurora. Inhale as the green light expands, exhale as it softly recedes. It is a visual lullaby, a celestial dance that requires no music and no explanation. The light reflects off the ice-covered rocks around him, creating a landscape of glowing emerald shadows and violet highlights. You observe the way the penguin's eye catches the green fire, a tiny spark of awareness in the vast, silent dark. There is no conflict in this light, only a profound sense of harmony. You feel the warmth of your blankets as a counterpoint to the cool, ethereal glow of the sky. You are floating in a sea of emerald silk, your mind becoming as vast and as quiet as the atmosphere. The aurora is a blanket for the world, and you are tucked safely beneath it, drifting deeper into the hazy, rhythmic beauty of the high night. The penguin moves among a series of high-altitude crags, ancient, weather-beaten rocks that have been sculpted by the wind into jagged, Gothic shapes. Because the light is now coming from the stars and the faint aurora, these rocks cast long, intricate shadows across the silver snow. You find yourself mesmerized by the geometry of these shadows, the way they stretch and curve over the undulating terrain. The penguin walks through a shadow of deep indigo, his body almost disappearing into the darkness, only to emerge into a patch of starlight that turns his feathers into silver armor. It is a repetitive transition of light and dark, shadow, light, shadow, light. You follow the edge of a shadow as it moves across a drift of snow, noticing the way the texture of the ice changes in the darkness. In the light, it is a field of diamonds; in the shadow, it is a pool of silent, liquid velvet. The penguin's movements are muffled by the stillness of the rocks, his feet making only the faintest clink against the granite. You feel a heavy, pleasant sense of being shielded by these ancient crags, as if they were the walls of a great, silent cathedral. Your thoughts are like the shadows, long, slow, and quiet, drifting across the landscape of your mind without effort. You are nestling into the dark spaces between the rocks, finding a sanctuary of absolute, unmoving rest. The penguin is a master of the shadow, and you are drifting with him, safe in the knowledge that the darkness is a place of protection and peace. High on the mountain, the wind is not a gust or a roar, but a microscopic, high-pitched singing. It is the sound of air moving through the tiny, jagged facets of the ice crystals, a frequency so pure it feels like it is vibrating within your own mind. You listen to this singing ice, a sound that is as delicate as a glass harp. The penguin tilts his head, his ears, hidden beneath his sleek feathers, tuning into this celestial music. It is a constant, unchanging hum, a white noise that masks any remaining echoes of the world below. You imagine the wind as a thin, silver thread, weaving through the penguin's plumage, carrying away the last remnants of heat and replacing it with the clean, cold energy of the stars. It is a refreshing sensation, a mental clearing that leaves only the essentials. You find yourself focusing on the rhythm of the hum, n. It is a sound of absolute solitude. The penguin takes a slow, deep breath, and you can hear the faint, crystalline whistle of the air as it enters his beak. It is a satisfying, mundane sound, a reminder of the simple mechanics of life. You feel your own body becoming as light and as resonant as the singing ice, your thoughts vibrating in harmony with the wind. You are a part of the atmosphere now, a part of the silver thread, drifting on the high, silent currents of the Antarctic night. Everything is clear. Everything is quiet. You are falling into the music of the silence. As the penguin nears the summit of the first peak, the silence becomes so heavy it feels like a physical presence, a layer of thick, warm wool draped over the world. This is the silence of the vacuum, the silence of the space between the stars. You observe the way the penguin moves within this weight, his body leaning into the stillness as if it were a supportive hand. There is no struggle in his movement, the silence is not an obstacle, but a medium. He is swimming through the quiet, his flipper-like wings held tight, his body a streamlined vessel of peace. You feel this same weight in your own limbs, a heavy, pleasant pressure that keeps you pinned to the softness of your bed. Your arms feel like they are made of ancient ice, your legs feel like they are rooted in the granite of the mountain. It is a sensation of absolute security, the feeling of being held in place by the universe itself. The penguin stops to stand on a small, flat ledge, looking out over the clouds that have gathered in the valleys below. The clouds look like a sea of white cotton, a soft and silent barrier between him and the rest of the world. He is above it all. He is beyond it all. You find your mind drifting over that sea of clouds, floating in the high, silent air where the only light comes from the ancient suns of the Milky Way. The silence is a gift, a space where you can finally let go of the need to listen, the need to react, the need to be anything other than a pulse in the dark. You are sinking into the weight of the quiet, safe and warm in the heart of the high night. The penguin has reached the crest of the first peak, and before him lies a long, narrow ridge that seems to lead directly into the heart of the galaxy. This is the star path, a bridge of translucent ice that catches the light of every constellation. He pauses at the threshold, his dark eyes reflecting the infinite silver of the sky. There is no fear in his gaze, only a profound, heavy readiness. He is at the end of the 5th hour, the point where the physical journey begins to dissolve into the spiritual one. You watch as he takes his first step onto the star path, his claws making a soft, resonant clink that sounds like a note from a distant piano. Clink. Clink. The sound is the only thing that exists in the world. You find yourself following the line of the ridge in your mind, a path of light that leads away from the earth and into the dreaming. The air is so thin here that the stars no longer twinkle, they burn with a steady, cold fire. You feel that same steady fire within yourself, a calm and eternal light that guides you toward the deepest layers of sleep. The penguin is leading you across the bridge, away from the mountain and into the sky. Your body is a vessel of light, drifting across the silver ice, safe in the knowledge that the journey is almost complete. We are entering the 6th hour, the hour of the celestial crossing, where the penguin and the stars become one. Let your mind go. Let your breath flow. You are home. The penguin moves onto a ridge so clear and so ancient that it looks like a path made of solidified air. Beneath his feet, there is no white snow, only the terrifying and beautiful transparency of 1,000 feet of pure, bubble-free ice. You find your gaze drifting through this glass bridge, looking down into the deep indigo abyss that lies beneath him. It is like looking into the heart of a sapphire. You observe the way the penguin's dark, webbed feet grip the surface, the way his claws leave microscopic white scratches on the pristine glass, a tiny, temporary record of his passage. There is a profound sense of weightlessness here. As you watch him, you feel the bed beneath you becoming just as transparent, just as light. You are suspended in the air, held up by nothing but the silent intent of the universe. The penguin does not look down with fear, he looks down with a calm, Nietzschean acceptance of the void. The abyss is not a place of falling, but a place of floating. You find your own mind sinking into that deep blue transparency, drifting through the layers of the ice into a world where gravity has no power. Every step he takes on this glass bridge creates a soft, muffled thump that resonates through the entire mountain, a deep and grounding note that vibrates in your own chest. You are safe on this bridge. It is stronger than steel, older than memory. You feel the cool, blue light of the abyss washing over your thoughts, smoothing out the last jagged edges of the day, leaving only a sense of crystalline clarity and heavy, effortless peace. High above the ridge, the Southern Cross burns with a steady, white intensity, and as the penguin moves, the light from these stars passes through the ice of the star path, refracting into 1,000 tiny rainbows at his feet. You observe the way the light breaks, a flash of violet, a sliver of emerald, a streak of pale, icy gold. These colors do not move quickly, they crawl across the ice in time with the penguin's slow, rhythmic gait. It is a kaleidoscopic world, a silent light show performed for a single, tuxedoed spectator. You find yourself focusing on one specific prism of light, a small, triangular patch of indigo that glows with an inner fire. You follow its movement as the penguin sways to the left, and then to the right. The repetition of the colors is mesmerizing, a visual lullaby that numbs the analytical mind. You feel your own awareness becoming a prism, catching the distant light of the stars and turning it into a soft, internal glow. The penguin's white chest reflects these rainbows, his feathers becoming a canvas for the galaxy. He is not just walking through the light, he is wearing it. You feel a heavy, pleasant warmth spreading through your limbs, as if the starlight itself were a heated liquid flowing through your veins. The world of things has been replaced by a world of light. Every refraction is a thought being released, every color is a breath being taken. You are drifting within the rainbow, safe and warm in the heart of the celestial crossing, while the penguin leads you deeper into the velvet dark. In the thin, high air of the ridge, the penguin begins to hear a sound that exists beyond the atmosphere, the faint, ethereal singing of the solar wind as it brushes against the Earth's magnetic shield. It is a sound like 1,000 silver flutes playing a single, unchanging note. It is a sound of pure energy, a cosmic hum that vibrates at the very edge of human hearing. You listen with him, allowing the high, crystalline frequency to wash over your senses. It is a white sound, a perfect wall of noise that erases the world of the valley entirely. The penguin tilts his head, his dark eye fixed on the shimmering curtain of the aurora that has now draped itself over the entire horizon. He is listening to the music of the spheres. You find your own mind syncing with this frequency, your thoughts vibrating at a steady, peaceful rate. The hum of the solar wind acts as a vacuum, sucking away the remaining clutter of your mind and leaving only a vast, empty space of quiet. You imagine this sound as a fine, silver mist, filling your room and settling over your body like a layer of soft, cool silk. You are becoming a part of the wind. You are becoming a part of the light. The penguin's breathing is the only percussion in this celestial orchestra, a slow, deep, and rhythmic beat that grounds you in the present moment. Inhale, and the flutes rise. Exhale, and the flutes fade. You are drifting on the currents of the sun, safe and secure in the knowledge that the universe is singing you to sleep. The penguin reaches the highest point of the star path and stops to stand still, becoming the axis upon which the entire world turns. From this vantage point, you can see the slow, majestic rotation of the stars around the celestial pole. The galaxy is moving in a giant, silent circle, a wheel of silver and shadow that has been turning for billions of years. You observe the way the stars move, a millimeter at a time, a slow-motion carousel of light. The penguin remains perfectly unmoving, a dark, stable center in a world of infinite motion. You find your own awareness beginning to rotate with the stars. It is a gentle, dizzying sensation, like being on a very slow, very large swing. You feel the weight of your body as it sinks into the mattress, while your mind begins to drift in a wide, circular arc across the heavens. This is the Nietzschean great noon, the moment where time becomes a circle and the self becomes the center of the all. There is no beginning to this rotation, and there is no end. It simply is. The penguin's stillness is infectious. You feel your own muscles becoming as solid and as quiet as the ice, your breath becoming as regular as the turning of the wheel. Every star is a marker of safety. Every rotation is a deepening of the piece. You are the axis. You are the star. You are the penguin standing at the top of the world, watching the universe spin itself into a dream. The world below is gone. The world above is everything. The aurora above the penguin begins to shed, aurora fall, a rare phenomenon where the charged particles of the atmosphere create a faint, glowing mist of colored ions that drift down like neon snow. This mist is weightless, settling over the penguin in shades of ghost green and pale magenta. You find your attention drawn to the way this light dust interacts with his feathers. It does not melt, it simply sits on the surface, glowing with a soft, phosphorescent light. You watch as a single green particle lands on the tip of his beak, flickering for a moment before fading into a soft, silver glow. This is a world of magic and physics, a place where the air itself is alive with light. You imagine the feeling of this aurora fall on your own skin, a tiny, tingling sensation of coolness and peace. It is like being dusted with the dreams of the stars. The penguin takes a slow, deep breath, and you can see the green light entering his mist breath, turning it into a glowing cloud of emerald. It is a beautiful, mundane miracle. You find your eyes closing as you watch the light dust fall, a slow, rhythmic descent that mirrors the falling of your own consciousness into the deep layers of sleep. You are being covered in a blanket of light. You are being wrapped in a cocoon of color. The penguin is a beacon in the neon snow, and you are drifting toward him, safe and warm in the heart of the celestial crossing. Everything is glowing. Everything is still. You are almost home. The 6th hour is drawing to a close, and the star path has led the penguin to the far side of the mountain, where a deep, protected valley of shadows awaits. This is the final destination before the ultimate ascent of the last peak. He begins his descent from the ridge, his body leaning back into the slope, his feet making a soft, rhythmic shhk as he slides through the powdered starlight. The air is getting warmer here, shielded by the massive walls of the mountain. It is a thick, velvety air that smells of ancient ice and silence. You watch as he moves away from the brilliant light of the stars and into the soft, purple darkness of the valley. It is a transition of profound comfort. The light was beautiful, but the shadow is where the rest happens. You feel your own mind moving into that same shadow, a place of deep, charcoal-colored peace. The penguin silhouette is becoming less distinct, a soft shape moving through a world of satin. He is nearing the center of the valley, a place of absolute stillness where the wind never dares to blow. You find yourself sinking into the darkness with him, your thoughts becoming as quiet and as heavy as the valley floor. The crossing is over. The sky has been traversed. Now, there is only the shadow, the warmth, and the final, slow climb toward the 8th hour. Sleep is no longer a destination, it is the path itself. At the heart of the pillars lies a valley floor covered in a layer of snow so pure it has never seen a footprint. The penguin takes his first step onto this virgin surface, and the sound is not a crunch, but a sigh. SSSSSH. It is the sound of the world exhaling. You find your own breath matching this sigh, a long, slow release of the day's final burdens. The penguin walks toward the center of the valley, his movements becoming even slower, even more mechanical. He is not tired, he is simply at peace. He has reached the place where there is nowhere else to go. You observe the way his feet sink into the powder, the snow rising up to meet him like a soft, white blanket. It is a world of total acceptance. The mountain does not ask anything of him. The stars do not watch him. He simply is. You find your own mind becoming as white and as flat as the valley floor. No ridges. No shadows. Just a vast, open field of quiet. You are drifting over the snow, your consciousness becoming a thin, silver mist that hangs in the air, unmoving and eternal. The resonance of the valley is a low, humming note that fills your ears and pulls your eyelids closed. You are home. You are here. You are resting. The penguin enters a canyon where the walls are made of sheer, black ice, rising up like the pillars of a great cathedral. These walls have been polished by the wind for 1,000 years, and they are so smooth they reflect nothing but the absolute darkness of the high sky. You find your gaze moving up these pillars, higher and higher, until they seem to touch the very stars. The penguin walks between them, his body a small, rhythmic pulse in a world of giants. You observe the way his shadow stretches out behind him, a long, thin line of indigo that marks the slow progress of his feet. There is no sound here. The silence is a physical presence, a heavy, cool weight that presses against the skin and settles deep into the bones. You feel this same weight in your own limbs, a sense of being supported by the vast architecture of the night. Your body is a pillar of rest. Your mind is a hollow space where the silence can finally echo. The penguin pauses to look at the ice wall, his reflection a ghost that moves when he moves. It is a slow, beautiful dance of shadow and light. You are drifting within the reflection, your thoughts becoming as smooth and as dark as the black ice. Every breath is a quiet prayer to the stillness. Every heartbeat is a drum in the deep. You are safe in the cathedral. You are warm. You are still. The penguin stops in the center of the valley and begins to blink. It is a slow, rhythmic movement, the eyelids sliding down like a velvet curtain, then rising again to reveal the silver fire of the stars. You find your focus narrowing to this single, tiny act. Open, and the world is light. Closed, and the world is dark. Open, and the galaxy is there. Closed, and the dream begins. It is a repetitive, hypnotic cycle that numbs the senses. You feel your own eyelids following this rhythm. They are heavy, so heavy, as if they were made of the same ancient granite as the mountain. Every time they close, it becomes harder to open them. The darkness behind your eyes is a warm, inviting pool of indigo. The penguin is watching the horizon, his gaze steady and calm. He is seeing the great noon of the night, the moment where the self is lost in the infinite. You are losing yourself with him. You are the eye. You are the blink. You are the transition between the light and the dark. The rhythm of the blink is the rhythm of your heart. Slow and steady. Deep and quiet. You are drifting into the dark, safe and warm in the center of the world. The penguin begins to settle. He shifts his weight from his left foot to his right, a tiny, microscopic movement that causes the snow beneath him to compact with a soft, final crick. He is finding his center. He is preparing for the final stillness. You observe the way his shoulders drop, the way his head tucks slightly toward his chest. He is becoming a smaller shape, a rounded stone of warmth in the center of the white valley. You feel that same settling in your own body. A shift of the hip. A relaxing of the hand. A softening of the jaw. You are finding your own center, the point of absolute balance where the world can no longer pull at you. The penguin is a master of this stillness. He has walked 100 miles to find this 1 square inch of peace. And now that he has found it, he will not leave it. You are standing there with him, your feet rooted in the ice, your head touching the stars. The weight of the world is gone. There is only the weight of the air, and the weight of the blankets, and the weight of the deep, beautiful sleep that is rising up to meet you. You are solid. You are safe. You are still. The penguin takes one last, deep breath of the high, cold air. You watch the plume of white mist as it leaves his beak. It is the largest plume of the journey, a thick, silver cloud that hangs in the air like a ghost. It doesn't dissipate. It doesn't move. It stays there, a frozen breath in a frozen world. You watch the mist, noticing the way the starlight catches the tiny water droplets, turning them into a cloud of diamonds. It is a beautiful, final sign of life. Your own breath is just as slow, just as silver. You imagine your breath as a soft cloud, floating above you, protecting you, keeping the silence company. The penguin's chest remains still now. He is not holding his breath, he is simply breathing so slowly that the movement is invisible. He has become the air. He has become the mist. You are drifting within that cloud of silver, your thoughts becoming as light and as formless as the vapor. There is no more walking. There is no more climbing. There is only the breath. The single, slow, eternal cycle of the lungs. You are falling into the mist, safe and warm in the heart of the high night. The 7th hour is ending. The world has become a single, unchanging note of indigo. The penguin is now a silhouette of pure peace, standing in the center of his cathedral. The stars are his only witnesses, and they are silent. You are at the threshold of the 8th hour, the hour of the infinite rest. The journey is done. The story is over. But the state of being is just beginning. You feel the heavy, velvet curtains of sleep closing around you. The penguin is still there, but he is fading into the blue. He is becoming a part of the mountain. He is becoming a part of your dream. Let the words go. Let the images go. There is only the warmth. There is only the dark. There is only the long, slow, rhythmic pulse of the universe. You are home. You are resting. You are asleep. The penguin is still. The snow is a soft bed. The air is a heavy blanket. The light is a memory of blue. You are very, very warm. Your body is melting into the softness. The room has no edges. The world is a distant hum. The penguin is a shadow of peace. The shadow is your friend. Everything is smoothing out. Everything is becoming quiet. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. The stars are closing their eyes. The ice is a cushion of silk, floating in the dark. Weight has no meaning. Thoughts are white birds. The birds are flying away. The sky is a velvet room. You are safe in the room. It is time to let go. It is time to be still. Heart is a slow drum. Mind is a quiet lake. The valley is a cradle. The silence is a song. One breath follows another. Like waves on a shore. Always safe. Always held. Always warm. The journey is a circle. The circle is complete. No more words needed. Only the deep indigo. Only the velvet dark. Only the golden warmth. The penguin is at rest. He is breathing with you. You are breathing with him. The mountain is sleeping. The stars are sleeping. You are sleeping. Peace is a heavy coat. Softness is the only truth. Deep into the pillow. Deep into the dream. The penguin is a star. The star is a light. The light is fading into the beautiful dark. Slow. Still. Warm. Home.